All right, so we're going to use Photoshop to create our video. And our video is going to contain some still images that we're going to create so that we have a title slide, a production slide, and a credit slide at the end. And this is not in the tutorial that I provided, the link tutorial to the Adobe basics on creating video and editing video. So this is going to take it one step further on how to add multiple layers of audio, including multiple layers of adding text, but also increasing layers on top of that as well. So I'm just going to take it one little bit step further past what we did for our live video. And so here we go. So we have Photoshop open, and with Photoshop we need to create a new document, and you could go File, New as well. And we're going to take a look at this menu across the top of the screen, and we are creating film and video. And we're going to take the very first preset. There's some fun templates here that you can experiment with later. I'm on a Mac, so I have some different previews than we have seen on the PC. But if you have access to these can be very fun. So we're going to start with the basic 1920 by 1080, which is a standard size for playing on TV screens and landscape computer screens. And so the first thing we're going to do is name our video. So we'll call it Life Movie. Don't forget to name your files. Whoops, so that you can make sure that you can find them later. That's always a bonus. Untitled one is a terrible name, and I've had lots of students lose their work because of this. So when we're in a movie, we tend to like it dark because we don't have any lights. So we can change this to any color we wish right here, but there is a preset for black. If you notice too, the resolution, because we're on a digital screen, we're on digital space, so print's 300, but we're in the digital space, so we only need 72 dots per inch or pixels per inch. We're also working in RGB color, which is typical, which is the space that we use in digital space. So we'll create that. Now, Photoshop isn't meant to do necessarily video. So they've taken the best of the not the best, but the basics of Premiere Pro, which is the film editing software for Adobe, and they've given us just enough to create and produce video in Photoshop. So for non-Premiere Pro users, which have it's quite complex, they've simplified it in Photoshop here for us to use. So what we need to do first is we need a timeline in order to add our media. So we are going to go down to, in the window menu, down to timeline to access our timeline. Now mine looks slightly different because I'm on a Mac. So if you're on a Mac, this is the window you'll get. On a PC, we already had this add media button. In order to do that on a Mac, we need to click here. And now we have the same view as we do for a PC. However, ours is called video. It has a different title here, but in essence, it's the same. It's got the same features, and all you have to do is look for these great little symbols. So when on a PC, when you log in, it says add media. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to add media, and we're going to locate the files that we downloaded to our desktop. And the ones that I had provided were called video clips. So I'm going to select all of them by holding Shift. And so there are 7 videos here, and I'll be editing those down. So by selecting the clips, they take a second to upload here. You will see now that they've been added to the timeline, and it is called Video Group 1, which you would have seen on your PC automatically. Now, if we take a look at our layers palette, though, at the right, this is the very cool thing about Photoshop and Adobe in general. It gives you lots of different ways to do the same things. So if we take a look at our video group, we can see that all our videos are also placed here. The difference between working in layers with still images and working with video is the thing that is sitting on the very top tends to be the thing that's in the very front. Well, the opposite is true for video. The very first video, the very first thing you see tends to be the thing at the bottom, actually. So film 1 starts on the bottom and works its way up. So you can choose to move your videos around in the timeline here by clicking and dragging one of your movies, your video clips, and repositioning it here. And you'll see that that position from the end has now changed its position in the list in your layers. What if I took this 8-year-old video right here, 8-year-old twins? You can see that it's highlighted itself in the video group in the timeline. And what if I move that to the end, so the very top? You can see now that it's also changed position in the timeline. So you have the option of using either or. So now I want to get rid of this clip. I do not want this. I want to start with a video clip, and eventually I will add my own still image for my title slide. So I can either click on it here and hit delete to get rid of it, or I can click on it here, excuse me, and hit the trash can in the layers palette, or simply hit the backspace button on a PC, the delete button on a Mac. So now I want to shorten my film clips. Where you do that in your timeline, so I'm just going to hopefully move up my timeline here so we can see it. And we'll expand that. If you click on this tiny little arrow here at the end of every clip, you can see that it has a duration. So we could cut our film and throw the film away, but what if we need to add length to our film? We have the option of bringing it back if we need to add length. So I'm just going to type in the number 5 here. And what else we can do here in this video clip is if there's noise or chatter or things in the background that you want to remove, you can simply click on it and reduce the volume to 0. The other neat thing that you can do here is you can have, if it's a crowd shot, you can have the crowd noise fade in and fade back out, which is also very cool. And if you don't want any information or any voice at all, you can actually mute the video. So if we go back to the clip, you can also speed up the clip. You can make it go very fast. If it hasn't been shot in slow-mo though, you're not going to want to slow it down because you won't have enough frames shot to fill in the slow motion and it'll look very jagged. But you can speed it up, absolutely, that works. So I'm going to reduce all these clips to 5 seconds. I'm not going to worry about any noise in there because I believe none of these clips have anything in them at all for any audio. So I'm going to reduce all my clips to 5 seconds because I'm looking at creating a 30-second video. Now, if I make this slightly bigger, so if you take a look at the bottom here, we have a mountain range. I'm going to increase the mountain range a little bit. See that? And you can expand your clips. You can really zoom in and get in on the details there. So there we go. And now we can see exactly how many seconds we have. Now I'm not going to use all of these clips and I'm going to change their order. So I'm actually going to get rid of this sunset. So I'm literally going to click on it to select it and hit the backspace or delete key on a Mac. And I'm going to move the clock to position 1 by clicking and dragging and dropping it. It's as simple as that. And you can also, again, use your layers palette to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to get rid of that one as well. And now I'm down to 5 clips at 5 seconds each. So now I should have 25 seconds. So let's see what that looks like when we play it. And you'll also notice that it might look a little bit choppy as well as it plays here. When you render it, so you render it for full access on YouTube or whatever video series that you're doing or platform, it will smooth out quite nicely. So this is a bit crude in ways, but it's an excellent way to simply create an effective video in a short amount of time with very little knowledge of how to do video. All right, so we're seeing how things are moving along here. So one thing I wanted you to notice here is as it changes clips, so this is the key line right here, this little tab, and it's a little bit slow here. Take a look at the transition between the clips. Bam, it's very quick. There's nothing nice about it. It's and it can be very effective in film. So when the next time you watch a film, see if you can notice any of the transitions. In our case, we're going to add cross fades. So what does that mean? So if I come here and I play this clip, it just goes bam right into the next clip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this thing right here, and it's called, these are fades. These are our transitions. And so all you have to do is click on this tiny little block here, choose what type of transition you'd like, and drag and drop it in between. So I'm going to choose this crossfade, which is going to fade out this clip into this clip, which will fade in. So as this one fades out, this one will fade in. So let's drag and drop that in between. And you can see now it's also reduced the length of each film. And the reason why it did that is because now there's an overlap of, here it is, 1 second. So let's see what that looks like when we play it. It's a little slow. Yours might be too. All right, so I'm going to play it from this position and now watch what happens with the transitions. Oh, that looks a lot smoother. And you can always reduce the size. So what I'm going to do to be consistent, so using the repetition principle, I'm going to choose crossfade and I'm going to drag and drop those between all of my clips. And there we go. So now we have 5 clips. We've changed the length of them by clicking on the tab, and we've added crossfades. And look for the next video to continue.